Let's welcome Roy up. He's going to be talking about lightning at the end of the tunnel, overcoming Bitcoin's UX challenges. Welcome, Roy.
Thank you, Stefan. Hi, everyone. Maybe before I start, I want to thank two groups of people. One, the organizers of the conference, Jeff specifically, and all the guys in the pink shirts, so thank you so much. And secondly, the guys that are doing the implementation of the infrastructure, the three teams, the team of the Lightning Labs, which Breeze is using LLD, C Lightning, and Eclair the Async guys. Thank you so much. It's amazing to see how a dream can become a reality, and you're building an ecosystem, and we're all here because of you. So thank you so much. So after the previous session and all the talks about escrows and arbitrage and exchanges, I want to go back to the basics. We want Bitcoin, not everyone, but most of us want Bitcoin to become, we want to use Bitcoin as medium of exchange to make this journey of Bitcoin from store value to medium of exchange. User experience, UI, is a key element for enabling us to do so. And adoption, there's, this conference, everyone talks about what's going to be the Lightning killer app and so on. It doesn't matter. We don't. The bottom line, we don't know what will be Lightning killer app. What we do know that we want to create great user experience, because great user experience will drive adoption, and eventually adoption what would lead to the usage of Lightning. So the goal here is to cross this gap between the technology to user experience and to drive adoption. But the key is, and for me, that's the reason I do what I do, the key is not to compromise on the core Bitcoin values. So custodial and all this nice terminology of not holding your money, that's not the reason we're here. We're here because we want to deliver on Bitcoin vision of becoming peer-to-peer digital cash. That's what we do. In order for it to become peer-to-peer, we need to hold our money. Lightning won't succeed unless we will hold our funds. We'll have a total sovereignty of our funds. But that infirms a more challenging task of improving Lightning user experience. So I think this session is a good summary of different elements that I saw in other sessions during this conference. These are the topics that I'm going to discuss. One is how to create this environment where you install an app and you immediately plugged into the network, zero configuration. The second element is how, once you're connected to the network, how can you receive funds immediately? We want a single balance experience. We don't want on-chain balance. Sorry, Udi, I don't know if Udi is here, but layer 1 balance, layer 2 balance. We don't want multiple balances in different channels. We want effortless payments. We want instantaneous payments, to support large payments. We want to have this natural flow of someone entering a credit card and buying Bitcoin instantaneously. And we want also to be able to empty our balance. So zero configuration. There are two types of strategies to tackle this plug and play user experience, where I just install a payment application. By the way, I'm not a fan of the word wallet. I think in the context of Lightning Network, wallet is only one element of the solution. Everyone that deals with Lightning in the specific context of the money user experience, I think it's a payment service. I think what Breeze does is we can compare it to Venmo or to Cash or to other vendors that provide payment services. Autopilot is the ability to just have this payment service work out of the box without the user need to handle channels, fund channels. So one way to do that is to have funds transferred to your Bitcoin wallet, and then there's an algorithm that decides what are the channels that you need to, what are the nodes, what are the routing nodes that you need to connect to, and how much funds you need to put in these channels. And this works quite nicely in L&D. The trouble with this, with the autopilot, from my standpoint, is the fact that you need to maintain a layer 1 hot wallet in order to enable this process. So I'm trying to push this notion of Lightning Service Provider. What is a Lightning Service Provider? Lightning as service provider, there's always this analogy of Lightning Network to the internet days. So when will Lightning Network succeed? When will Bitcoin will succeed? I think there are two elements to that. Exactly like the internet, in the days of the internet, there were two missing pieces, basically. There was the notion of a user experience, good user experience that will enable people to browse the internet. That was solved by the browser. But there was another element. All the backend stuff was handled by ISP. ISP, and Internet Service Provider, that was the entity that connected the end user to the internet. So we need these two elements to occur also in Lightning Network. The browser or the wallet is one element. The Lightning Service Provider is the second element. And what are the functions of a Lightning Service Provider? It's responsible for opening a channel. It is responsible for facilitating receiving funds or solving this inbound liquidity issue. It also is responsible to connect you well to the network to ensure that every payment will succeed via a routing algorithm. And it is responsible for rebalancing, enabling this liquidity within the network. And it has some kind of well-known contract between the LSP and the end user. There's some degree of SLA or some kind of reliability element to it that you don't get with the autopilot algorithm. So imagine you have a user interface. It can be a wallet. It can be other services. The entity that connects you to the Lightning Network is encapsulated by this notion of an LSP. So we want to provide this user experience that once someone installed a Lightning client, you want to be able to enable the user to automatically receive funds. You know, we want to solve this inbound liquidity issue. It can be resolved by LSP, and there are different types of model for LSP. Breeze is opening free channels for the users. Olympus, the Zapp's Olympus will require you to enter fiats in order to provide inbound liquidity. What the clearer folks are doing, they trigger this inbound liquidity creation out of an incoming Lightning transaction. But there will be different models of LSPs. Some are free, some are freemium, like the Tor, the Bitrefill Tor services. But the LSP will be responsible on providing you with incoming liquidity. That's one way to solve this element of receiving funds. Another piece to this puzzle is done very nicely by the Generation 2 wallet from Eclair, is the ability to open on-demand channels, meaning you don't need to immediately open a channel once the user installed the wallet. You can wait till the first Lightning transaction in order to create this channel on demand. And I think it's a very nice concept from the Async guys. Loop out is a way to do a sub swap from your existing Lightning capacity back to the chain in order to release some room for inbound liquidity. So that's after you already have a channel established. It's a way to take some of your fund that is already locked in your Lightning channel, but freeing it up by transferring it back to the chain. Single balance, we all want, ultimately our goal is to create a user experience that is on par with fiat. People are used to the fiat ease of use. We want to provide a level of service that is on par with the quality of a fiat service. And people are used to the fact that when you use a fiat service, you have a single balance. A user doesn't want to manage multiple balances, layer 1, layer 2, different channels. This thing can be solved by the use of a submarine swapper, or we do that in Breeze. We are a Lightning-only client, meaning we don't maintain on-chain balance, we don't maintain layer 1 balance, we only maintain a Lightning balance, which allow us to do to present to the user a very clean interface of having a single balance that he can spend on every purchase that she wants. Another possible, but Breeze is currently limited to a single channel, because if we'll support currently multiple channels without AMP, then we won't be able to provide this clean user experience, because if the user is not able to spend all her funds for a single transaction, then you have this weird user experience. I have $100 in my wallet, but I can't use this $100 in order to execute a single transaction. So we need AMP support in order to support a single balance for multiple channels. Effortless payments. Payments are a challenge. I don't know how many of you failed to buy something during this Lightning conference. That's a lot. It's like around 20%. We don't want 20% failure from a payment service. Payment service needs to have like 99.999 next 9 reliability. And for that, the payment needs to be much more smooth and much more effortless. The trick here, the challenge here from a user experience standpoint, is the fact that on mobile, we want to push this non-custodialship solution. On mobile, most of the time, the client, the node is not active. Breeze runs a Neutrino client on the user device. The node is not active most of the time. So if we want to support peer-to-peer payment, a Venmo-like, Zelle-like, Cash-like style of transferring funds between friends or between a family. Actually, a lot of the Breeze users telling me that they use Lightning to give allowance to their kids, which is cool, educating the next generation of Lightning Network. So what Breeze does, it creates this notion of bringing two end nodes into a single session in order to fulfill a payment. We call it Connect to Pay, where we use mobile messaging in order to bring both parties online at the same time, kind of like the experience you get with a phone call. When you ring someone, the phone rings on the other side, the two parties get together, and then we're able to fulfill the payment because both of the parties are online at the same time. That's the only way to fulfill a payment in Lightning Network. The nodes need to be active on the same time. And this is the notion of Connect to Pay. We don't like it. We think it's a good way to mitigate the problem, but we don't like the solution because we want to create a user experience, again, that is on par with fiat in terms of ease of use. So we want to create this asynchronous model where you can just text someone a payment or ask someone using a text message or using another method, hey, I want to pay you, and then when the payee gets online, then we are able to fulfill the payment without having the need to bring them together online at the same time. So yes, this is the Alice, Bob, and Carol, the regular Lightning transaction, where Carol has this pre-image. She sends Alice the hash of the pre-image. Bob is in the middle. He gets an HTLC with the hash of the pre-image, and then he sends to Carol. Carol publishes her pre-image, and then all this cycle gets fulfilled. But that happens only if both parties are online. So what Breeze is planning to do, we're planning to do something. We call it a lightning road. A lightning road is like a relay node that allows you to synchronize the payment in an asynchronous fashion, but also in a trustless manner. Meaning, how does it work? So imagine Alice. In a regular payment transaction, Carol issues Alice an invoice, a payment invoice with a hash of the pre-image, right? So with the Lightning Road, what will happen, actually the process will be initiated by Alice, and Alice will create a secret. She will send Carol the secret using HTTP or some other communication method. And then Carol will trigger the process with the road. She'll send the road a hash of the secret she received from Alice and a hash of the pre-image she received from she generated to start this Lightning payment process. What will happen then is the road, now that it has the hash of the pre-image, it can trigger a Lightning invoice to Alice. Alice can send a HODL invoice to the road. The road can trigger another Lightning payment process with Carol, and then we actually, from a Lightning standpoint, what happens, we actually split one transaction into two separate transactions, but they are both rely on the same pre-image that Carol generated. So the road can collect the money from Alice only if it paid Carol. So we published this protocol of this new Lightning Road. It's in our GitHub repository. You can take a look. We're gonna implement this kind of user experience, and that will enable us to actually implement the vision of Venmo in Lightning in a non-custodial fashion. So I'm looking forward to that. That's peer-to-peer transactions. There's also the question of how Lightning will interact with physical merchant. QR code, I'm iffy on QR, although it works well. But again, I think users will want a more seamless, smoother experience. So we're starting to see NFC solutions starting to emerge, which is great. I saw a Bluetooth-based solution during this conference, which is also great. I think there will be a fourth way to implement this kind of completion of physical transaction using a location-based element. A merchant can publish his location through the wireless network or some other network. The mobile client can identify using proximity algorithm the location of the point of sale, and then he will be able to complete the payment rather easily without the use of QR. Ongoing instantaneous payments, it's a challenge in a non-custodial solution because we need to sync with the chain and we need to update the Lightning Graph. What Breeze is doing, we're running a background sync in the background in order to always synchronize with the change. It's more problematic in iOS. We're thinking about doing also hybrid solution like Neutrino / Electrum electron fall back to a neutrino in order to speed up this process. We'll see. Advanced routing algorithm, also thanks to the async folks, trampoline payments, will resolve eventually the problem of the source routing problem. You'll be able to outsource the routing algorithm to an external node, which is also great, and we'll remove this, we'll mitigate this friction from the mobile device. Large payments, I think personally, I don't think we need one-bot channels. I think we only need AMP. AMP will allow us to do, there won't be a limit to the capacity that you'll be able to store in your wallet. Splicing is also a very clean way to increase the channel capacity. I'm out of time. Yeah, okay. Other challenges, I won't get, just to a quick recap. Onboarding time is an issue. Topping up from fiat is an issue. And I think this is, by the way, channel reserve, I think it's the most, we're getting a lot of complaints from our users because there's the notion of keeping some funds in your channel in order to have skin in the game, because we don't want to be attacked by people that create channel, then empty the channel, then close the channel. So you always get, there's this notion of channel reserve that you need to keep in the channel, but it doesn't allow this smooth experience where you can receive a Satoshi and then send the Satoshi back, because the Satoshi is basically locked in your channel. So we'll have to figure it out. Thank you so much. I'm run out of time. Thank you.